Morning, everybody. Still have a few moments before we start, but just to give you the preview of coming distractions, as I often say, we will be working with our straps, which I had initially planned on for Wednesday, but we didn't get to it. So fish around, see if you can find a strap that you can close up, and we'll be using this to support the body in different restorative positions. Also returning to the Cadillac, so to speak, of the double cushion. If you have your sofa cushions that you can form in a T like this, that will be useful. If you don't, you can take a couple of big towels and create a T, or at the very least, some sort of support for the upper half of the body. So you could roll a couple of towels together, and essentially they're going to be supporting you in reclining Shavasana while we open the low back initially. So that's it. The supports, if you have them, or towels if you don't, and then the closed strap. Been working on yoga for healing all week, and little did I know that that would be a prescient move and a good necessity given all the turmoil circulating around. And I tend not to take what's happening around us literally into a practice. The only thing I will say this morning is, for those in the know, we've been working with the concept of healing yourself, keeping yourself healthy. That plays into this concept called meta, which is just a word, but essentially centering on yourself and making sure your system, your body and mind are intact and you're treating yourself well in a healthy way and cutting yourself the necessary slack and time in your day to take care of yourself. And even when you do exercise or you do yoga, to approach that with the same perspective. Because as we all know, we can go into an activity and be self-punishing in a way. So this week is a chance to step down, to treat yourself well. By the same token, this concept has tiers. I think officially 3 tiers. And if you're working on that sort of practice, first you start with yourself. For most of us, that's as good as it gets and absolutely fine. Then when you've established that base camp and you can have integrity, you're healthy, you can reach out if you're especially a caregiver to another person and provide good support, and you're a grounding influence and a positive force. We have at least one doctor in the room, so to speak, this morning. And then beyond that, you go even further. You go to not only multiple people, but the ultimate is to express and even emanate, in lieu of actual touch, goodwill toward people you don't like. And that's the hardest one. And I will say that I've gotten into the state of mind, which takes a lot of work, which allowed me to do that. But you can't just say you're going to do it and it just won't happen. So that's a little above and beyond our practice this morning, but I thought I would just put that out there. And, you know, we're all connected. So if one person is sick, everybody feels it. And you can just put that in your pipe and smoke it, as one of my teachers used to say. So let's get started. We're going to have our supports behind us, either a long towel roll for a head or 2 in a T fashion, or 2 cushions. And your strap loop is going to be, about 2.5 feet wide. So you're going to lasso your body. And we're going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana. So we're going to slide that strap down to the top of the pelvis. You can feel the bony part of the top of the pelvis. And have the loop in front of you, or the closure in front of you, just so you can control it. And you're going to put your feet together like this and take the strap loop right across the tops of the feet. And you should have it tight enough that you feel a gentle support of your back. And then we're going to make sure either our towels or our bolsters are about a foot behind us, so we can kind of recline. And if it's too much on your adductors, in other words, the inner legs, you could take a couple of towels and put them under the hips, like we did in class on Wednesday. So let's just take a few breaths here, and as you gently can adjust your strap a little bit, the feet don't have to be pulled super tight. In fact, you're resisting into the strap a little bit, pushing the feet forward into that strap, and it's just going to give your hips a little bit of a tug, and it's going to open up the low back if you have any lumbar issues. So I know a couple of folks have dealt with low back issues, and we all need a little traction. So you can even feel if you took your hands to your hips and just ever so slightly tuck your tailbone to reduce the extension. And just place the hands where the strap is, going right over the inguinal area, inner hips. And so this gentle traction, pushing the feet gently forward, will just help us work in the lower back. At the same time, if you set up your supports pretty well, you can open this heart center, the shoulders, as the arms lay down, and just take a good 10 breaths here. And often we're setting up the lower body classically in a structure as the base, so that the upper pieces of the body, which hold, you call them maybe higher energy centers, or moving more toward what most people consider the mind, or the more directed pieces of the mind. Now just let the hips settle or soak into this construction or this geometry a few more breaths. And again, we're aiming for a pleasing adjustment. Pleasing adjustment. And if we're doing yin yoga class, as I pointed out on Wednesday, this might be a 2 or 3 minute hold. But since I'm teaching online, and I can't really adjust people, we'll just stay here for a few more breaths. So let the body be suspended in the prop construction. Adjusting is necessary. And then we're going to just take the knees together, slip the feet out of the strap, and move on. So here, we're going to lengthen the strap, and you could, I'm being lazy and laying down, but you could come up and do it. And I'm going to take the strap now and place it a little higher on the back. You might as well come up and watch this. And we can do this a number of ways for advanced or beginning students. And we're going to take the strap around the ball mount of the right foot like that and just hold it up aloft. So beginners, you could just go down to your Cadillac and enjoy the sling that this is providing in the leg. You can admire your toes. Speaking of self-love or self-healing, feels really good. And push into the big toe mound a little more. And just feel in this pretty passive way of doing this pose, leg extension, that the leg is slowly, breath after breath, lighting up, as if it weren't made of muscles or bones whatsoever, but it's filled with prana or breath. If you want to consider that to be some sort of floating or expansive energy like helium, or maybe you're a science fiction fan and you have lights in all your joint capsules and they're lighting up. But this changes the game in terms of how you're pushing. So if you're thinking, oh, muscle, 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 bone, 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 then you're probably overworking this. Advanced students, of course, if you wanted to not do this with the support, you can go down onto your back. You can take that right leg a little bit over to the right, maybe 6 inches, and just feel the inner leg open a little bit. So focusing your mind and your breath on the inner leg, and allowing this to be subtle, to open up in a subtle, gentle way. and then letting the leg travel, the right leg over to the left, just a little bit, and feel the outer leg. And if you're not in too much resistance in the body, on Monday we talked about how much resistance you're creating in the yoga poses. So just a mild resistance, and then the breath can intelligently and slowly, like ocean waves smoothing out a rock, can open this fascia on the outer leg. Okay? So let's switch to the other leg. Again, this week we're just doing things a little softer, slower, and on the one hand, it may not feel as racy or as much of a workout, but it's more of a work in. It's a work in, and you have to get a little more subtle and soft when you're doing the inner work. So if the strap is too tight and the hamstring is protesting, adjust. I'm not at my ultimate stretch here by any means. So if we were in a more aggressive class, we tighten the strap every 3 breaths and really open up the hamstring. But again, middle path, and having this support, this sling, tying us into the mid-back, almost like a dancing partner would hold your mid-back, and you can just drape over it, getting into that quality that I spoke about in yoga called submitting or releasing, trusting that I can fall back, open the whole breath chamber, heart chamber, my conscious mind chamber, and then pushing into the toe mound is going to energize a little bit of the fascia on the feet, spreading the toes, but creating a uniform distribution of awareness through the leg. And if you have any wonky places, maybe it's the outer left hip, then you can go there for a few breaths. We're going to let the leg travel out to the left. And then you breathe into this. And if you find in any permutation of the pose that your breath stops, so you kind of clench your throat, tongue, your eyes are become a little fiery or pointed, then you need to back off. And then we'll travel over to the right. And we just feel the outer leg. And it's more of a breath, mind exploration tied into this piece of the body rather than being super pushy. We're thinking, well, I got to get my leg to the ground. Otherwise, it's not valid. Not the point. And if I were to stay here for several minutes, I would bake open that pose really effectively rather than racing through it and trying to force the body to do what I want it to do. So we can come up out of that, and we can take the strap in front of us, and at this point, probably abandoning the Cadillac would be a good idea. But if you're really having one of those mornings, you could stay with it. Your choice. And we're going to open our chest a little bit more. And we've done this before. We're going to loop one hand around the outside and come up through the middle. And then just hook the thumb into the strap. And then the other hand comes around and then hook the thumb under. And now I've got the lifting strap. Okay. So then I can bring it forward and tuck the chin, lean back, and just kind of nice on the Cadillac, actually, now that I'm here. because I can just let the arms drape on the second bolster. And I'm not trying to get my ultimate stretch here, but in doing so, and you can straighten your legs, it's providing a lot of support, and it allows you to be a little more uniform and softer in distributing your attentions. For example, normally if I did this posture without any sort of back and head support, I wouldn't be feeling the disparity of resistance in the right and the left sides. Let's bring that strap overhead, whether you're on support or not, and just bend the knees and take the strap with your parallel arms over to the left. And then inhale the center and going to the right. And go a few more times. So just moving very slowly in that mid back. So let's roll off to the side now and unrope ourselves and take our cushions aside. And then let's see if we can use our strap to do a forward fold. So we're going to hook the strap with the knees bent in that same position we had on our upper back, bend our knees and sit. And we're going to just take the fingertips back and allow this to open up the mid back and the chest a little bit more. And then just relax the hip bones down, let the chest open. So now if we pick the feet up, we could take this a little bit further in toward a supported Navasana. And we are moving toward mild back bends today, so this is going to be part of our work. Those that are a little more advanced could straighten the legs, but again, as soon as you have, if you have, allow the legs, the heels to descend and relax, and then you can just enjoy the lay back. Relax the throat and just give the head a shake like you're a bobblehead in the back of the car. You can even close your eyes and take a few inwardly sounded breaths into your skull and relax your shoulders. So we're holding the poses a little bit longer, and that allows us to, breath after breath, dissolve the unnecessary tensions in the body, which immediately clamber on board when we get into stronger yoga poses. Okay, so let's bend the knees gently. If you straighten them, take them down, and allow the straightening legs to just slide you forward. Let your fingertips come down. From here, you can take one of your bolsters, or even two, and take a forward fold. So if this is too much, then you just use a couple. And in the normal classes, we might be trying to struggle into the pose, but here, as we take the head down, see if you can slide the hands forward, press forward with the fingers until the resistance of the strap in the back is found. So we're creating with this strap, and adjust as necessary, a counter mild counter resistance to the forward folding. The head is dropped. And you're welcome to stay in any of these that resonate. Again, small adjustments, and if I were here with you in class, I'd be coming around saying a little lift here, a little bit, bent knees here. I'm trusting that you find the key to the lock, so to speak, subtle adjustments that you need to make in your own body till you find that really sweet spot where things just release. And let's stand, even though it's restorative yoga, we can stand and do at least a few things to open up the body. And we're gonna go ahead and open up our strap. If it's closed. And we're gonna take the strap and, like a jump rope, we'll bring it down the back of the legs, stand on the heels, and hold, and bend your knees to hold the ends of the strap. And without really drilling the feet, feel the lengthening of the legs from the hips in a similar manner to what we had laying on our back. We had each foot in the strap, and we're extending our legs, imagining the legs to be full of helium or light. Let the chest soften, let the eyes drop, let the shoulders drop. So this would be your standard yoga asana pose. So I just want you to feel that and then step forward with the feet, bring the strap up the back, the mid-back, and then clip the elbows around the back side of the strap to lift the chest, and then sink down and bend the knees into Utkatas. So drop your tailbone and drop the tension in your throat, heart, and chest by looking down. And just allow the same mild resistance into the strap. And then come up. So let's explore standing poses from a softer perspective. The first thing we're going to do is just spiral the body and tap the opposite shoulder, and then working across the collarbones. And as you pat the body, you're going to go easy, but it's going to awaken the fascia, and then we go to the midribs, and we're just allowing the body to spiral and then move in toward the solar plexus. And then we work down to the low back, maybe the kidneys, and in toward the belly. So we're trying to bring our bodies into more of a aware, alive, but relaxed state. And then we're going to take the hands to the top and the bottom of each leg and just gently tap them and move them toward the knee. And you can move the sides of the knee, calf muscle. If you're flexible, gently tap the ankle. And then allow yourself to stand, but put the feet apart this time, and remembering that we just had a yoga Tadasana or mountain pose, we're going to alter that from a rigid, lifted position to just sinking, softening the knees, dropping the tailbone and the pelvis down, and just letting the arms dangle. So this would be our Yin Tadasana. And the part of this is standing almost like a child stands. And you get a little wobbly as we pour the weight into the right foot. And then pour the weight into the left foot as if we were made of water. This image of water or a watery body also gets the fascia to integrate and to allow us to approach the body from a less tense perspective. You can spend a little time on one side or the other, just allowing the body to hang, so to speak, on the structure of the bones as if you were on a coat hanger. Someone had a little hook on the top of your head and just hung out. And then from here, let's go ahead and take a forward fold by taking opposite elbows, bending the knees, with the head drop. Maybe the arms drop. And then you're going to come up by bending the knees around the spine. And the head is last. I'm going to take the arms up like this, inhale, and just swing them, exhale. Same thing. And then we'll take the arms and unwind them by tapping the top of the wrist, coming up the forearm, elbow joint. Again, not too hard. And bicep, tricep, and we'll spin the palm up, come up the fascia, the inner arm, tap that. And then let the arms dangle, drop into your spongy knees, weighting your heels, and just allow the spine to be long. So this is almost the opposite of a normal yoga, right? Pulling up, we're going to sink onto almost like puppet strings and burying that. And with your breath, just floating. And then make sure you're in front of your mat here. And then step your left foot back to a very short warrior one stance. We're going to inhale, let the arms float up as if strings are pulling them up. And exhale, open them out. And just like a swing set, let the arms drop. Inhale up, and down we go. Completely unwinding the arms and the fingers. Inhale and exhale. Almost a lion's breath, which is the sounded breath. Take the hands to the front knee, sink it a little lower. Lift the back heel. Let's just drop that back knee down. You can pat it with a towel if you want. And inhale, let the chest float higher. Exhale, sink hips down. Same thing, inhale, and just sink down. Keeping the throat calm, the sensory organs calm. You can even try this with your eyes closed. Feeling the weight on the front foot travel from the heel to the toes, so you're a little more aware of the feet. And then coming to a middle position of the lunge, and the left arm reaches up. Spiral the left palm back toward you, and take the hands to the outside of the right knee. Stay here. Keep your right hand high on your right leg, and just take a few breaths to drop, anchor, so to speak, of the right hip going down. Really soft, as if someone said, you're going to stay here for 20 breaths. So how can you whittle away the tensions in little muscles, fine muscles keeping you from falling over, and beanbag yourself with your exhales down into an awareness of the fascia in the front of the foot, the right foot and the top of the left shin, as if I were posing for someone to draw a picture. Very lazy, this arm's doing nothing, just drop down. Let's come forward, let's take the fingertips to the ground, or you can have your hands on a bolster or chair. And then we're just going to start to go back on inhale and then forward. We're just mildly extending front leg and then coming back deeper into our lunge. Go slow. And again, if you need to have some support, you could be working on your bolsters. Again, if we push into the muscles too much, we lose awareness of the integrity of the entire chain, muscle chain, fascia, and we're just working gently. Now we take our lunge again. All we're going to do is circle that front knee. As we come forward, we're going to just make tiny rotations. If you have a knee injury, obviously be careful. We can feel the massage on that right foot. Make sure you reverse directions. And then from here, we'll place the hands down on the floor and we'll lift the back toes and tuck them under. And just step that left foot to the right, take a forward fold. 5 breaths, soften the knees, soften the shoulders and the hips, and allow the body to egg and unwind. Bend the knees, keep the head dropped and come up to standing. And then once you come to standing, sink with the tailbone, like a long tail just drops to the ground. And we'll step the right foot back, but not too much. And just bring those arms up like they're being pulled by strings. It's like lazy yoga. But in softening the body, again, you can maybe feel the texture of the mat on your feet. The hips are a little more relaxed. And we just want to take as much of ourselves out of the equation, or that part of ourselves which immediately jumps on board to create too much resistance in the pose. Then we're going to take the hands and just place them on the front knee, lift the back heel, and glide the right knee back to the ground. Take the toes out. If it's hard on your knee, take your towel and pad. Inhale, the chest floats open. Exhale, you sink. It's going really easy. As slow as you can. And when you move in this slower universe, or this slower dimension, you start to notice things in your body. A tight psoas in the right leg, a weak outer left hip, all sorts of things. And especially if you've been doing yoga for years, it's good to do this sort of practice because it lets you diagnose finer tensions in the body which become patterned. Come up, we'll bring that right arm up. Again, don't power up. Just relax the arms. So the right shoulder's relaxed. Give it a shake even. I'm going to take the right hand, just drape it on the front knee. Slide my left hand to the upper hip and encourage it to drop down. So if I can find exactly the right biomechanics of the bones, the muscles don't have to do as much. We don't have to wait till we're 100 years old to find this more efficient structure of the body. We can do it right now. And of course, there are little micro adjustments going on to keep you from falling over. But can you exhale, relax, for example, the front of that right leg, the psoas muscle, drop it down. Can you relax this upper hip bolster to the left and just drape the body down on the pose? Doesn't mean I'm collapsing. I still have this nice, soft, expansive quality in the chest that we gained through our preliminary movements. I'm just not fighting into a deep twist. I'm floating in this structure, checking it out. Okay, let's take the hands either to cushions or floor, whichever works for you. And then we start to inhale, straighten front leg a little, and exhale, come a little deeper down. So whatever works for you. But don't go to your maximum stretch. Don't start to push into the muscles. I want you to feel the joint mobilization that we've been working with all week. So I can feel my hip joints roll, the upper leg bones, feel the shoulders roll, the head roll. And if I were a piece of machinery, which I am, my body is, that all the pieces are moving slow enough that I can feel the integration of the chain. And then we can crawl the hands up to the front knee and we can dip and circle the knee. And this go easy if you have a knee issue, and then the other direction. Then we'll take the hands to the floor and we'll curl the right toes under, give a little hop, take the right foot to the left, soften the knees and fold. And just take about 10 breaths there in forward fold while I grab my water. Slowly coming up from forward fold. Head is last. And then from here, Utkatasana, inhale. Then exhale, forward fold. We'll take the left foot back, take our warrior one more time, reaching out. Exhale, do the arm swings. When the arms swing, let the outer hip bolsters drop as well. So this is a different way of standing in the pose. And again, if you don't go too big with your posture, it's more of a softer integration. So let's work on that. See if we can combine the philosophical component with the physical component. And we did this once before. We're going to reach out like we're ballerinas or ballet dancers. Except we're circling a cloud and exhale, bring the hands to the heart. Drop the arms, inhale, circle forward, lean forward a little, and just go slow. It's a little off the beaten track. And what we want to visualize is that there's some sort of prana energy out there. Whatever, we're just bringing that into the center of the body. Open, the ribs open, and then exhale. We can soften, let the gaze drop. And then hold. So just take your hands toward your heart, soften your knees a little bit, your feet, and relax. Okay. So from here, let's go ahead and step the feet together. The same thing. On the other side, Utkatasana, soft drop. Spine is long and flowing. And then pull, stepping your left foot back, not too far, coming up. Inhale, and then just drop the arms like that. So all the muscles along the spine, the outer hips, everything is just a little more relaxed. And then we start to move forward and circle, inhale, and come back. You can pitch forward in the front foot a little as you come forward and then back. Really slow. Think of casting a net. And from a very pragmatic standpoint, I could think, yeah, I don't believe in that other stuff, but I'm opening the rib cage, protracting the shoulder blades, and then gliding the shoulder blades across the back. So in the mildest of cases, I'm getting some nice soft joint manipulation so I can relax the shoulders. The shoulder blades are swimming if I were doing a reverse breaststroke. And then I hold this pose, sink down into my feet, let my gaze be vertical or slightly downcast. And then release, stepping the feet together. And let's have a seat. I'm going to take some of the same poses we did on Monday before we get into the goodies. And so we take Paschimottanasana in the same way we did earlier in class. And set up your bolsters in the way that's comfortable for you. So maybe for you that the knees are bent, for example, and the bolster, the towel is under the bent knees. And then your second bolster is for your head. So when you find the sweet spot, you're getting a nice awareness of stretching the backs of the legs, the low back. As I mentioned in the past, if the knees are bent, of course, the stretch is going to go more into the low back. So if it's too much, you want to stay with straight legs. Just come up higher. With your upper body support. Let's move to child's pose. Pretty racy class this morning, I have to say. And I think it's just what the doctor ordered. So remember the supported child's pose. Again, you can fool around with your props. If I have support here, could even be a chair. We worked that on Monday. And I can drop in like that, so that the forehead is deactivated. I could have one of the either towel rolls or cushions that I'm sitting on in Virasana, and then drop down to head forward. So now we're starting, and you can stay there while I talk, to move into the geometry where the lower body is raised a little higher than the head, or the head is dropped down toward the ground to soften the upper energy centers, bring things down after kind of a wild week, so that the systems of your body can renew themselves. Let's do a few more forward folds. We can take Janu Shirshasana, and we can take our bolster or bolsters forward, the shins, So treat all these forward folds as a head grounding enterprise, the deactivation of the frontal brain, and the legs get touched in a stretch, as does the back. We're trying to make a subtle connection of the muscle fibers, muscle fascia stretching, the mild resistance in the system, the intelligence of the breath, and then the release of the brain, which is really what yoga is all about. So you'll have freedom in your physical body, and also your brain is in a state of calmness. So let's switch legs. And again, the headrest or the props are there so that we can settle down. Brain, of course, if you're cursed with flexibility, your head goes right to your shin. But even here in my morning body, I have a fairly limber body, the awareness starts to become slightly interrupted by the excessive stretch. So it's a little cross purposes. You have to find for your flexibility level the amount of support which allows you to integrate. So now I'm going to move toward back bending just a little bit, and you can see or feel how much is possible for you. I'd recommend that we did a towel roll to start, and then if folks want to move to the bolster, you can do that. And we'll take our towel roll behind us and grab your strap, just for safety's sake, and make a little loop. Kept wet. We did this one, I think, last week during the back bending operation. So we're gonna bend our knees and just lasso around the tops of the feet. We're gonna go just above the upper knees and make the knees integrate. So I've got about a fist's width space if you tuck a fist in between my knees. Okay? So then when we go into Dandasana, with the hands back on the towel roll, the elbows soften, the forehead looks down, and you can relax into the awareness of the upper leg bones just gently moving out into the strap. And that action is going to keep us safe as we come into our yin back bend. We're going to slide our hips forward and glide our shoulder blade tips to the towel roll. Take our hands and fingers to the back of the skull, bring the elbows together and glide the head back to the floor. And then you can see if this is too much or not. If the head doesn't get to the floor, you're going to keep your fingertips under the base of the skull, like you're leaning back, reclining. Then you can slide the legs long and just let them integrate into the strap. Those that have the flexibility can let the arms come out to the sides or your goal post, and gently allowing the exhales to drop your mid-back and soften over the towel roll and to open the front of the body. Make sure your jaw is relaxed. You can open and close it. If it's too much to do the straight legs, just keep your knees bent and experiment. So if that allows the back bending to integrate a little better, smoother, and just work with that. As you exhale, you want to, as we've done in the past, focus on the space in the back of the palate. Curiously enough, the same space you might taste something that you've eaten. The end of the exhale, just feel that or imagine that sensation in the back of the tongue, throat, like a cough drop dissolving. Then we'll bend our knees if they haven't already been bent. We'll carefully roll to one side and come up and set ourselves up near a wall. Now, some people do this Viparina Dawson, or Karani rather, with the strap. I find it a little bit tricky to do that, so I'm going to suggest you don't. You can certainly play with it. But the first thing we're going to do is to get ourselves near the wall with our towel rolls. Towel rolls may be 4 inches away from the wall. And here's where you have to use some discrimination as to how big the towel roll is. My torso is very long, so a bigger towel roll makes sense. You could also use cushions, a cushion instead of your towel roll. This is going to fit into the small of the back, so when you get up there, just to show you, it's important that you have it right in this bottom of the lumbar arch, so that the hips spill over. The first one we'll do is just to get side saddle, get our left hip up to the wall like this, and this is where you have to employ your rolling skills. Legs up the wall, you can just shift. You're shifting this towel roll. So if this is new to you, maybe watch with the towel roll onto the back. The hips want to get as close to the wall as you can. And take the hands to the tops of the legs and gently encourage them to go toward the wall without getting too pushy. So if you're up and you find you want some more lift, you could do this with either a bigger towel roll or take one of your sofa cushions. Arms go out to the sides and the legs are straight up. So if this is too much for your straight legs, you can always bend the knees. And what we're going to do anyway in a second is to cross our ankles like in Sukhasana. Slide the feet down toward us, down the wall, and then let the knees open. Again, you can take the hands to the tops of the leg bones with the belly, and we're settling this lower body structure. And this is the same position we sit in Sukhasana. Let the low back release, let the chest, throat, tongue release. Tasting each exhale in the back of the throat and settling the inner legs. Again, the geometry of having the hips and the legs higher than the chest and the head allows for the lymph system to drain. We can cross the legs in the other pattern. Just make it comfortable. Again, a slight pitch over the towel roll where the hips will allow the rest of the spine to unwind and unravel.
And you can focus on the intake of breath through the nose and the swirling, or the sensation of the exhale in the back of the palate. Relaxing the jaw, the tongue, the eyes. So again, if the lower body geometry is pleasing and supported, then your work is allowed to come up the spine and settle the brain and all the systems closer to the brain. Now we could stay there if you like, or those might feel good to open the legs in a straddle. This would be for the advanced folks only. And we can take the legs out and get a little more of that opening we had in Supta Baddha Konasana to the inner legs. Those that are beginners, stay with the crossed legs, or you can even take a middle path with the Supta Baddha legs, soles of feet together at the knees like that. That would be a intermediate, advanced beginner. And soft breath, soft outlay of the legs wherever they are. And then what we're going to do is to move ourselves skillfully from side to side and waggle in lieu of an appropriate Sanskrit word. We're going to shimmy and shift our bodies left and right and allow ourselves to be moved away from the wall. If you want to come up and do it a little more formally from seated position, or just taking a look at where I'm going to go, you can. I like the waggling motion of rocking. And then either with the towel roll, or you can take a bolster if this is too much. I'm going to take that same Sukhasana with the hips on the ground and the legs splayed out over the towel roll support. But now here's where, for the beginners, having a little more lift. For example, if I take the sofa cushion and then I cross my shins and lay the legs forward, it's a lot more pleasing. I would say that's true even for me. And then I let the arms and the shoulders soften. I let the legs spill forward. And I allow the distribution of breath to be evenly carried through the body. So this is a different approach this week to forcing geometries to happen using a lot of muscle force. This is a lot of support and tinkering with your own body to see how you can create support, which yields a more relaxed state of mind. And opening the Pandora's box of the body, so to speak, not so that chaos will ensue, but some nice opening that's gentle, careful, regulated, supported actions. Make sure you cross the shins in the opposite pattern. And again, you could stay here longer if you want, or we can just roll over to one side, come up to close off practice. And if you have a few more moments, you could draw back into where we started in our supported Shavasana or Baddha Konasana as an additional piece. But for now, if you can just sit, and we're achieving the same geometry now vertically. And just see how it feels as you close your eyes. You should feel like the sensation of the mat
on the back body has allowed that fascia, like a long cape, to drop down. And just in relaxing the back body, the front body starts to blossom open. So I don't have to force it. I don't have to wrench my chest open at all. If I've done my yin yoga work, the shapes have been created. And just taking a few breaths to allow the breath to come in and out of the body. Softening the upper arm bones, softening the throat. And finally, we'll take a gentle Om and then we'll forward fold. But to set us up, we can take our stomach cushions forward with the head to drop. So first we'll sound into the body. You can hum, you can say ah, palms to the heart, or Om with me. Inhale, let the breath come in. And then Om. You can place your hands palm on palm. You can just rest your head. So, Gentle Week has concluded, but hopefully you can take some of that work forward, and when you do even your, we call your strong yoga, have a little bit of this softness, kindness to your body. We'll see you soon. Namaste. And all unmuted folks want to say hello. Should be able to check in.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
That was great.
Thank you so much, Dan. I hope you recorded this.
I'll record it and put it up.
Thank you, Dan.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.
Namaste, Dan. Gracias.
Have a great weekend,
Bye-bye.
everyone.